Most men think women are complicated, but the truth is, women aren't asking for the impossible. They just rarely tell you outright what they truly want. Why? Because for many of them, if they have to ask, it loses its magic. So today, I'm going to give you a secret window into a woman's unspoken desires. Here are 4 things she wants you to do, but will never tell you. Master these, and watch how she leans in closer, trusts deeper, and loves harder. Take the lead without taking control. She wants to relax into your leadership, but not your dictatorship. Planning the date, taking charge of the moment, opening doors. These show confidence, but real power. It's knowing when to lead and when to listen. She doesn't want to feel controlled. She wants to feel like you thought of her, took the wheel, and guided both of you toward connection. Show her she's safe. Without her asking, she won't always say it, but she's scanning. Am I safe with him? Can I trust him with my emotions, my body, my future? Little things matter. Walking on the street side. Checking in after she gets home. Defending her even when she's not there. These things say, I've got you, without words, and that's everything to her. Give her emotional presence, not just physical presence. You can sit beside her and still feel 1,000 miles away. When she speaks, look at her when she shares, engage when she pauses, lean in. She wants you present, not scrolling, not distracted, not half, listening. Emotional presence is the new masculine. It shows her she matters, not just as a body, but as a soul. Compliment her when she least expects it. She knows she looks great when she's dressed up. But what about when she's in sweats, messy hair, no makeup? Tell her she's beautiful then. Compliment her ideas, her laugh, her strength. Women are tired of being valued only when they're polished. Make her feel seen when she thinks no one's looking, and she'll never forget it. Listen with your heart, not just your ears. She can tell when you're listening to fix vs. Listening to feel. Sometimes she's not asking for a solution. She just wants you to hold space, to say, that sounds tough. I'm here. If you can hear what's underneath her words, she'll feel emotionally naked around you. And that's where intimacy is born. Let her see you vulnerable, but strong. You don't have to be the rock all the time. In fact, showing your emotions, when expressed maturely, is a deep form of strength. Letting her see your struggles, your fears, your dreams, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you real, and women connect to what's real more than what's perfect. So here's the truth. She may never tell you to do these things, but when you do them, she'll feel it in her heart. Because love isn't about grand gestures, it's about consistent presence, quiet protection, and thoughtful leadership. If you do what most men ignore, you'll stand out in ways she'll never forget. Become the man who doesn't just hear what she says, but understands what she never says out loud. There's a difference between leadership and control, and it's one most men never truly learn. Women want a man who can take charge, not because she's incapable, but because it feels good to let go when she knows you've got the wheel. It's not about dominance, it's about direction. It's about the subtle power of initiative that tells her, you're safe, you're seen, I've thought about this. And yet, the moment it crosses into control, it kills the chemistry. No woman wants to feel like she's being managed or handled. She wants to feel like she's being understood and led with care. Taking the lead doesn't always mean making all the decisions. It's more about creating emotional structure. It's texting her first, but leaving space for her to respond freely. It's planning the date, but asking her input on the vibe she's in the mood for. It's ordering for her because you remembered her favorite drink, not because you think she can't speak for herself. Real leadership in a relationship looks a lot like attentiveness and intention. When you anticipate her needs before she voices them, she feels chosen, valued, prioritized. But here's the trick. Leading well requires emotional intelligence. You have to be in tune with her signals. Some men try to take charge by bulldozing, by assuming that control equals strength. But true strength lies in flexibility. It's in being decisive when she's unsure, and supportive when she's already sure of herself. It's knowing when to lean in and when to lean back. She wants you to drive, yes, but not ignore the passenger beside you. She wants to feel like you're moving together, not just being pulled along by your direction. Leadership also shows up in the little things that most guys overlook. Walking on the street side of the sidewalk, guiding her gently through a crowd with your hand on the small of her back, checking in with her before making plans that affect you both. These aren't grand gestures, they're micro signals that say, I'm thinking of us. It's those small but powerful moments where you step forward, not to overpower her, but to protect the energy between you both. Another layer of leading well is being steady when she's emotional. It's when she's overwhelmed or spiraling, and you become her calm, not by fixing, but by anchoring. A man who can hold space for a woman without losing himself is rare, and she'll feel it deep in her nervous system. She won't always say it out loud, but she notices when you stay grounded. That, to her, is one of the sexiest forms of leadership, emotional stability. But don't forget, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. A man who leads well doesn't need to control every outcome. He just needs to be reliable. He needs to show up with consistency, with thoughtfulness, with the kind of quiet confidence that says, I've got this, even when life gets messy. And when you do misstep, own it, apologize if needed, adjust. A man who can self-correct without ego is a man who's truly in charge of himself. And that's the kind of leadership women crave. So when she's sitting across from you, eyes searching yours for something deeper than surface-level charm, what she's really asking is, can I relax into you? Can I trust where you're taking this? And if your answer is yes, not in words, but in energy and action, she will follow you anywhere, not because she has to, but because she wants to. Safety isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and even spiritual. A woman may never say the words, make me feel safe, but it's one of the deepest, most unspoken desires she carries. From the moment she lets you into her space, her heart, her body, she's quietly scanning, can I trust him? Can I relax here? Will he protect my emotions or use them against me later? And what she's looking for isn't always loud or obvious. It's in the way you speak, how you look at her, how you react when she's vulnerable. Real safety is created in the silence, in the subtle, consistent signals that tell her, you're okay with me, all of you. Most men think safety is about defending her from external threats. That's only one piece. Yes, she needs to know that you'd stand up for her if someone disrespected her in public. She needs to feel your strength in a world that often tells her to shrink. But more than that, she needs to know she's safe from you. That her feelings won't be mocked, that her tears won't push you away, that her insecurities won't be used as weapons when you're angry. She needs to know that when she opens up, even with her mess, you won't flinch or run. That's the kind of safety most men overlook, and the kind that earns a woman's deepest trust. You show her she's safe when you listen without judgment. When she says something that might feel uncomfortable or raw, and instead of reacting, you breathe and stay present. You don't interrupt, you don't try to fix, you just hold space. That, to her, is the rarest form of intimacy, a man who can handle her truth without trying to control it. You show her she's safe when you remember the small things she told you in passing, a stressful meeting, a childhood wound, something she's afraid of. You bring those things up gently, not to gain power, but to remind her you were listening. That you care, that you are paying attention, and it's not just about how you treat her when things are easy. It's about how you treat her when she's hard to love, when she's emotional, when she's moody, when she doesn't even know what she needs. If you can stay calm, not take things personally, and offer a steady presence instead of reacting with ego, she'll feel it. She'll feel like she doesn't have to shrink herself to be loved. She'll feel like she can be fully her, and still be held with love. Even your physical presence matters. How you touch her, how you approach her, how you enter her space. All of that communicates safety or danger. A gentle touch, a strong yet respectful embrace, eye contact that says I see you, and not I'm trying to own you. These are signals that bypass her mind and speak directly to her nervous system. When you're near, she should feel herself exhale, not tighten. She should feel more grounded, more whole, not more guarded, and sometimes it's in the quietest actions, walking her to her door, checking in to make sure she got home safe, locking the car door when she's inside, standing up for her even when she's not around. These things might seem small, but they speak volumes. They say, "I've got you," even when you're not looking. And that's where safety lies, not in big speeches, but in consistent action. When you become a man, she feels safe with not just physically, but emotionally. You don't just get her affection, you get her trust, her respect, her softness. You unlock a version of her that the world rarely sees. Because when a woman feels safe, she blooms, and the man who creates that space, he becomes unforgettable. You can be in the same room with someone and still feel a million miles apart. For a woman, presence isn't just about your body being there, it's about your soul showing up too. Physical presence is easy. Anyone can sit beside her on the couch or walk next to her down the street. But emotional presence, that's where most men fall short. She can tell when your mind is somewhere else. She can feel it when you're half listening, when you're nodding but not truly hearing her, when your eyes are on her but your focus is lost in 100 other things. What women crave, what they rarely say out loud, is that deep, intentional form of attention that makes them feel like they're the only person in the world for those few moments. When she's speaking to you, she's not just sharing words. She's testing the water. Is he tuned in? Does he care? Can he hold this piece of me without looking away? Because women don't open up to just anyone. They open up when they feel emotionally safe, when they sense that they're not being judged or brushed off or hurried. When you give her that kind of presence, she will unfold in ways that surprise even her. It's in the way you look at her when she's talking, not staring blankly, but truly seeing her. It's in the way you respond, not with solutions unless she asks for them, but with understanding, with energy that says, "I'm here, I'm with you, I'm not rushing this." And it's in the pauses, the stillness between words, where you lean in with your energy instead of leaning away with your impatience. So many men hear just to reply, but the rare ones, the ones who leave a mark, listen to understand. That's emotional presence. That's what makes her feel chosen, and it's not only about when she's talking. Sometimes she doesn't have the words. Sometimes she just needs you to sit with her in silence, to be that calming energy when her world feels chaotic. Your presence, without pressure to fix, to explain, or to rush the moment, can be the very thing that grounds her. In those quiet moments where nothing is being said, your energy speaks volumes. She can tell if you're truly there with her, or if you've already checked out mentally. And once she senses the disconnect, a wall goes up. Not because she's cold, but because she's tired of reaching out and being met with emotional absence. Women are intuitive. They notice the shift in your tone, the break in your gaze, the change in your energy. And when she starts to feel like she's competing with your phone, your stress, your distractions, she pulls back, not out of pettiness, but out of self-protection. But when you show her that she's worth your full attention, that she doesn't have to fight for your focus, something powerful happens. She softens, she opens, she gives you more of herself, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Emotional presence is rare because it requires more than showing up. It demands you put your ego aside, that you drop your distractions and tune in fully. It means sitting with her emotions even when they make you uncomfortable. It means being present even when you don't understand what she's going through. And above all, it means offering her a space where she doesn't have to perform, explain, or convince you of her worth. When you give her that kind of presence, she feels seen, not just looked at seen, not just heard, felt. That's what creates connection. That's what builds intimacy. And in a world full of half-present people, your full attention becomes her safe place. Not because you're perfect, but because you're there, and that to her means everything. A well-timed compliment can melt defenses, shift energy, and remind a woman that she's not invisible in a world that constantly demands so much of her. But here's the thing. What truly moves her isn't the compliment that follows a glamorous dress or a selfie she spent hours preparing. It's the one that catches her off guard. The one that comes in the quiet moments when she's not performing, not expecting anything, not even thinking she looks particularly good. That's when it matters most, because then it feels real. Then it feels like you're seeing something in her that she's not even trying to show. And that's where magic lives. A woman hears plenty of surface-level compliments. You're hot, you're sexy, you're beautiful. Sure, they have their place. But after a while, they start to feel recycle, easy to give and easy to fake. What sticks with her is when you go deeper, when you tell her how graceful she looked when she stood up for herself in a conversation. When you mention how calming her voice was when she talked to a child or her passion, when she spoke about something she cares about. These kinds of compliments tell her you're paying attention, that you're watching her in ways others overlook, that you're not just admiring the outside, you're appreciating her essence, and it's not just about what you say, it's when you say it. Compliment her when she's in a hoodie with no makeup on, hair tied back, scrolling her phone on the couch. When she sighs and says, "Ugh, I feel so blah today." And you look at her and say, "I love seeing you like this. You're so effortlessly you." That moment will stay with her. Not because it was dramatic, but because it made her feel accepted. Not for the version of herself she curates for the world, but for the one that's raw, relaxed, and real. Women don't just want to be admired. They want to feel seen, truly seen. So when you notice things about her that others miss, the way her nose crinkles when she's thinking hard, the tiny dimple that shows up only when she laughs a certain way, the way she organizes things when she's stressed, point it out. Tell her, let her know that those little details, the ones even she forgets about, matter to you. That's the kind of compliment that hits different, because it shows you're not just glancing at her, you're watching with intention. And never underestimate the power of words in emotionally heavy moments. When she's doubting herself, when she's had a long day, when she's questioning her worth, that's the time to affirm her without her having to ask. Let her know you see her strength. Remind her how rare her heart is. Tell her how proud you are of the way she handles things, even when no one else sees the battles she's fighting. These are not just compliments. They are anchors, and women remember the men who gave them anchors when the waters were rough. The beauty of complimenting her when she least expects it is that it builds emotional trust. It creates a thread of connection that's not based on how she looks at her best, but how she exists in her most human form. She begins to associate you with reassurance, with softness, with the comfort of being accepted unconditionally. And that feeling, that's what creates loyalty. That's what makes her light up when she thinks about you, because in a world full of noise and shallow praise, you offered something real. You gave her a moment where she felt loved without trying, and that's what every woman holds on to. Most people here to respond, they're already preparing their reply while the other person is still talking, but true listening, the kind that touches a woman's soul, isn't about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being fully present, not just physically, but emotionally. It's about listening with your heart, not just your ears. When a woman speaks, especially when she's sharing something personal or vulnerable, she's not just looking for words back, she's looking for connection. She's offering you a glimpse into her inner world, and what she needs more than anything in that moment is to feel held, understood, and safe. Listening with your heart means putting your ego aside. It means not rushing to fix her or offer solutions unless she asks for them. Most of the time, she's not looking for answers. She's looking to feel less alone in what she's going through. And when you tune in with your heart, you offer her something few men ever do. the gift of being seen exactly as she is, without judgment, without interruption, without trying to reshape her feelings into something more convenient for you. When she's speaking to you, she's not just sharing facts, she's sharing feelings beneath the facts. She may be telling you about something small on the surface, but her tone, her eyes, her body language, they're telling you the real story. And if you're only listening with your ears, you'll miss it. You'll hear the words but not the meaning. You'll hear the complaint but miss the cry for closeness. You'll hear the silence but won't feel the storm that's hiding inside it. But when you listen with your heart, you lean in, you tune into the emotion underneath. You sense her energy shifting. You ask questions not to pry, but to care. You mirror back what she's feeling. Not in a rehearsed way, but in a way that says, I'm walking through this with you. And here's the secret. When you listen like that, she relaxes, her guard comes down. She no longer feels the need to defend her emotions or explain them. She doesn't feel like a burden. She feels valued, heard, loved, and that kind of listening creates emotional intimacy that goes deeper than attraction or chemistry. It creates a bond, one she will remember long after the conversation is over. Listening with your heart also means remembering what she said, especially the things that matter to her. When she tells you about a goal she has, a wound she's healing, a small detail from her childhood, hold on to that. Bring it up later. Show her you were not only listening, but you cared enough to remember. That kind of presence doesn't just impress her, it makes her feel safe, because then she knows she doesn't have to fight for your attention. She knows you're not just hearing noise, you're receiving her. And it matters most when emotions are running high, when she's upset, when she's crying, when she's angry, not listening from a place of defense, but from a place of love, not taking things personally, but asking yourself, what's she really trying to say right now? What does she need to feel? That's the difference between escalating a fight and creating a breakthrough, between becoming just another person who doesn't get her, and becoming the one person who truly does. The truth is, anyone can nod along and pretend to care, but the men who listen with their hearts, they stand out. They make her feel cherished in a way that goes beyond words, because they don't just hear her, they feel her, and in a world full of noise, that kind of listening is a rare and unforgettable gift. There's a powerful balance that very few men know how to strike, the balance between strength and vulnerability. Many think they have to choose, either be the stoic protector who never shows emotion, or the sensitive soul who's always open but often seen as weak. But the truth is, a woman doesn't want one or the other. She wants both. She wants to feel safe in your strength and connected through your vulnerability. When you let her see you vulnerable, but still grounded, still sure of who you are, that's when she truly feels closest to you. Most men have been conditioned to believe that showing emotion makes them less masculine, that if you cry, if you admit you're struggling, if you open up about your fears, you'll lose respect. But that's not how real connection works. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. It takes a strong man to admit when he doesn't have it all figured out. It takes an even stronger man to let someone in to say, I'm hurting, I'm scared, I've failed, and still hold his head up high. When you open up in that way, you're not just letting her see your wounds. You're letting her see your truth, and women crave truth. Not polished stories, not bravado, not the mask you wear for the world. They want the raw, unfiltered you, because when you drop the armor, you invite her into the parts of you that matter most. You allow her to meet the man behind the strength, not just the one who protects, but the one who feels. But here's what makes that kind of vulnerability magnetic. It's paired with resolve. You're not just saying, I'm struggling, and collapsing under it. You're saying, I'm struggling, but I'm fighting. You're not just showing her the wound, you're showing her the will to heal. That's the kind of vulnerability that draws her in. It tells her, I trust you enough to be real with you, but I'm not asking you to carry me. I just want to let you in. That, to her, is deeply attractive. And something else happens when you let her see this side of you. She begins to open up more too, because vulnerability is contagious. When she sees that you can share your emotions without shame, without fear of being judged, she feels safe to do the same. You create a space where both of you can drop the act and just be. That's not just a relationship, that's a partnership, one where love isn't built on roles, but on truth. A lot of men confuse being emotionally available with being emotionally needy. But they're not the same. Being vulnerable doesn't mean oversharing every pain or leaning on her for constant reassurance. It means choosing your moments with intention. It means showing up in those quiet, honest ways that say, I'm not perfect, but I'm real, I have depth, I have struggles, and I have the strength to face them, even if I'm afraid. Letting her see your vulnerability also tells her that you value intimacy more than image, that you're not performing a version of masculinity for the sake of appearances. You're grounded in who you are, and you're not afraid of your softer sides, and that makes you feel more secure, not less. Because nothing is stronger than a man who knows he doesn't have to pretend. A man who can stand tall with open hands, who can lead with both power and tenderness, who can say, "This is me," and mean it. And when you become that man, when she sees your fire and your wounds, your confidence and your cracks, she doesn't love you in spite of your vulnerability. She loves you because of it, because you gave her something real to hold. And in return, she'll give you something just as powerful, her trust, her truth, her love, completely and unapologetically. So here's the truth, brother. Women may not always say it out loud, but they're watching. They feel the little things. They remember the unspoken moments. They crave a man who leads with quiet strength, listens with his heart, shows up emotionally, and sees beauty where she least expects it. These aren't just things she wants. They're things her soul is silently begging for. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need all the answers. You just have to be present, real, awake. A man who makes her feel safe, seen, and deeply valued without her ever having to ask for it. And when you become that man, not just with words, but with consistent action, you won't need to chase love, because you'll naturally attract it, be the calm in her chaos, be the reason she smiles when she's tired, be the one who understands the things she never says, and above all, be the kind of man she didn't even know she was praying for, until you showed her what love could really feel like.